Warning, the following broadcast features thoughts, ideas, and opinions you might find offensive. If you're easily angered, insulted, hurt, provoked, outraged, or annoyed, the following may offend you. The views expressed in this show are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of YouTube or Google. So please, don't flag this video. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey guys!
Hey!
What's up? I feel like there was a lot going on when I was trying to start that.
Yeah, and then I was seeing the introduction video. My eyebrows look huge.
Oh.
Vicky's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like,
She's like making these weird faces, and I'm like, is something going on in the chat? What's happening?
I think I just got them microbladed in that. I'm like, wow, I look so different.
Okay. Well, hi guys.
Hey Jen. Hey Megan. Megan, sorry. I always say it's the Australian way. Girly Gore, Badass Ninja. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey Nocturnal Horrors. Oh, hey Wyatt.
Said echo and then not anymore. I guess just let me know if that changes.
It was just screaming.
It could have been, yeah, it could have been, I forgot I had my volume turned on for, on my other monitor here, and I realized, like, at the last second and turned it off, so it might have just been the delay.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, sorry about that. Okay! Hey! I don't see anybody else saying echo, so I'm gonna keep going. Welcome to Does This Offend You? Episode 16. Totally didn't just cheat by looking at the stream. Today we're going to talk about, what are we calling the theme? Like Hollywood, fame?
Yeah, I think that we started with fame. Oh, Raiders!
Felix! Yes! Felix came up with the idea to call it Nightmare Fuel because you have your blood sacrifices.
Cute. I love it.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
I like that. That's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we started with the idea of fame. But these... Oh, there you go. Horror Cash as well. Thanks so much.
Great show. We just started.
Megan just said that there's an echo to Vicky, but it's not terrible.
Oh.
So I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
If no one else has said it, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started up with the idea of fame, and then I guess from there you go to Hollywood, don't you?
Yeah.
There you go. But these two movies are so similar in so many ways, but also different perspectives, which I really like.
Yeah.
I guess.
I feel like we find that every episode. Like I'm always kind of like, are these going to be really that related? And then as soon as we watch them, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
It's the same movie. Yeah. No, I think it's, if you're going to, we reach here obviously because we don't find a lot offensive.
Yeah.
Some of the films we do talk about are very offensive, but we don't find a lot of these offensive. Obviously, it's just to talk about the fun aspects within these films and the controversial aspects. But the title is pretty good, Does This Offend You? So we stick to that. But I guess if you compare any two movies, you're gonna find similarities. So that's what we do. We reach.
Yeah.
We reach real far.
We do. I feel like we haven't gotten too bad yet, though. Like, we haven't been, like, reaching too far on any of ours. Like,
I don't.
We're still good. So, yeah, I guess it's like fame, Hollywood kind of themed. The Neon Demon, Starry Eyes. I saw a couple people say, or maybe one person say they hadn't seen, like, Starry Eyes or something. We say it every time, but if you haven't watched the show before, we are going to talk about, like, the entire movie for each one. Like, so we are bound to spoil things, so that's your prerogative if you want to keep watching, but you've been warned.
Yeah, you have been warned. But I would recommend to see at least Starry Eyes anyway, because even if we talk about aspects and certain things that happen in that film, the way they play out is really cool to see. Obviously, the visual aspect is just really cool, I think.
Agreed.
When it gets nitty and gritty and down to the to the shit. Yeah. So.
Do we?
Yay.
I should say too before we start. There is a poll on Emma's Twitter. I did link it. It's like the very first thing in the chat. If you like scroll up really quick, because we always ask you guys which film you find more offensive, and at the end of the stream, I'll
link it again.
Yeah,
it's right here.
Emma's about to link it again. And we reveal the results of the poll at the end. So if you haven't yet voted, you can pop over there really quick and do so and pick which one is more offensive to you.
Yeah, if you had to choose. Obviously, I like both these films, so I don't really find them offensive. And I feel like we're in a unique position with these films because what's offensive in these films is intended to be offensive. It's it's meant to be highlighting the bad side of Hollywood, or fame. So yeah. Hey Dave. Hey Bia. Hey Missa.
Hey Monty.
Hey Graveyard. Go. Oh my God, you're all here. So nice to see you all.
Hello. Okay. Which, do we have a preference? We never decide beforehand what movie to start with, ever.
No. Usually we have to watch them and then figure out which one we're like dying to talk about, and if there's a reason to go first. But you guys let us know in the chat if you want. The fun thing about this is that we have perfect emojis for both of these films. You have the demon emoji and then you have the starry eye emoji. So if you guys want to decide in the chat, I wonder if this is Google available. They do have the starry eye.
I don't know if the starry-eyed one is in there.
Oh no, it's not. How sad. You guys can just write it, I'm sure.
Which one shall we
Oh my God,
with?
it's Freeman. Hi. Sure you can put a star. Get creative. Okay. Oh, someone found the starry eye.
Oh.
Clever. I couldn't see that. Okay, we're going to half.
Good on you, Shauna.
Demon. Starry demon. Thanks. Megan, that's not helpful, but I appreciate it. I think we're at demon. Should we just start with demon then?
Sure. Let's start with the neon demon.
Okay.
Let me scroll. Let me find my summary here. Okay. So, The Neon Demon was directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, and it follows Jessie, who is played by Elle Fanning, who moves to Los Angeles just after her 16th birthday to launch her career as a model. The head of her agency tells the innocent teen that she has the qualities to become a top star, and she soon faces the wrath of ruthless vixens who despise her fresh-faced beauty. On top of that, she must contend with a seedy motel manager, a creepy photographer, As Jessie starts to take the fashion world by storm, her personality changes in ways that could help her against her cutthroat rivals.
Yes. Do you say Ellie Fanning or Elle Fanning?
I've always said Elle Fanning.
Oh, I always say Ellie. I don't know which one it is. By the way, I don't really love her. I just have you seen How to Talk to Girls at Parties?
No.
The movie where she's an alien in punk rock London?
No, but now I'm fascinated.
It's so bad. It turned me so far off her. I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Anyway, she's an acquired taste, I think, and I'm not. But Raiders loves her, yeah.
I don't know that I'm not as... I don't know, this could be a lot of people my age, though. I feel like I'm more familiar with her sister than her, Dakota Fanning.
I agree. Yeah, she's no Dakota.
Dakota.
Totally agree. Yes. Okay. Where do you want to start with this one? You got another
thank you,
it's not Black Sacrifice. It's a Nightmare Fuel. Yay!
Some Nightmare Fuel / a blood sacrifice for the coolest people on HorrorTube. Thank you.
Aww, thank you, Ian. Yes, I really liked the casting for this movie. Was probably my favorite part. I like how there's an Australian actress in there and they let her use an Australian accent. Yay!
And she's actually, I don't know if you can see if you're looking at the stream, she's actually right underneath your image also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need to look at that. I love her. Although I do not want to be compared to her in any way. I do not want to stand next to her in a room.
That's
like,
the only
I'm
link,
5
you
foot.
guys. That's it.
Yeah. I'm 5 foot. I would be like one of her legs. Like, I don't want to do that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Thank you, Raiders. You got some more nightmare fuel. You guys are going off today.
Yay. It's called Nightmare Fuel on Vacation. It's okay. We're both in the stream, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
We'll allow it.
Cool. We'll allow blood sacrifices as well. It's fine. It's fine. Let me just pop out of this chat so I can look at my notes and this at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing.
Yay.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I can start somewhere. There's just so much to talk about. I guess like the overwhelming thing that's going to be threading both of these movies is the fact that beauty is everything. And this is the thing. The film obviously shows women as being like disposable objects and all that kind of good stuff, especially, if it's going to focus on the model industry. Where this one focuses more on models and the other film we're going to talk about focuses more on acting. So especially with models, this is very much very much so. So the things that could be deemed offensive obviously are put in there to offend, not offend, but to show how cutthroat and brutal the industry is. Probably the worst thing that I kind of got out of it was the moment when she said she wanted one of the girls, Gigi, she says that she wants to lose her boobs so that she looks more like a hanger, like a coat hanger, which is so disturbing.
Thank you, Scuba Steve. Really quick.
Oh my gosh, Scuba Steve, hi!
Can we call it blood fuel? You'll have to have a conversation with Felix about that.
Thank you guys, that's so great. I guess that's a good example of it. Sarah mentions that everyone has an expiration date, and she compares Gigi to being sour milk going off. So comparing, like, again, a disposable object. And Keanu, we all love Keanu. I don't even know his actual name in the movie. I was just like, Keanu's character.
Does he have a name? Is his character actually
he might
named?
not. You're right. He talks to Ellie Fanning's, what's her name again? Jesse's love interest. She says it's not a boyfriend at the start, but he kind of is. I think his name's Dean. About the women in the hotel or motel that they're staying in, and kind of offers that there's other people around if the bitch or whatever is not treating him right. Yeah, it's very weird, and it's obviously that's showing that I think Keanu's point is to be the real life, because obviously there's people. Oh my god, what's going on?
B.
Love it, Bia.
Blood sacrifice fuel at night. Holy shit, that's
I think that Keanu's character was really there to show her going back into real life, because they're in the industry and they're in the parties and things like that, but they've got to have a link to actually what happens when she goes home. Is she treated any different to being in the industry? And I guess Keanu is that character that shows everyone in Hollywood or whatever is materialistic and treats models, and especially women, as disposable objects. Which I would guess is a little bit offensive. It's realistic, but it's it's hard to watch at times.
Yeah. I was so sad that Keanu had to be acting like that. I didn't even realize he was in the movie, and I was like, aw, he's like the sleazeball motel owner. I think it also kind of shows like how like unsafe it can be as well. Like, and I think Starry Eyes kind of like touches on this too, like how unsafe it can be like for women, I guess, in this industry, because like not that like you're bodyguard or anything like that, but the fact that he's like offering up like these other girls essentially to Dean, or the photographer or whatever his name is, and like he said like about the one girl, like he says like something about a girl who lives next door, like some real Lolita shit or something, he says like the fact that it's like they're not like safe anywhere almost, and they're like very dark.
No, totally. Yeah, and I mean, it is scary because she is quite a young girl living in like some skeezy motel in the middle of LA. But yeah, it's pretty intense. Also, her perception of herself is, I guess, where a a lot of the differences between these movies. Oh no, I guess towards the end of Starry Eyes, but the perception of herself and how she gets this fame, and Jesse gets his fame and attention, and I don't know, all of those jobs so quickly, and she's rising to the top so quickly. Obviously, it gets to her head, and she becomes, consumed with it herself.
Yeah.
And there's a point where one of the girls asks her what it's like to walk in the room and get all the attention, and she replies, like, it is everything. And I'm like, stop. But she also, you can see how it's almost sad, because you can see one moment where her character actually cracks, because you don't really know a lot about her and her home life. I think it would have been a completely different movie if you saw her moving there, or if she like made a call home and she was a little bit more real, because she's just a person at the start who's already getting, like, the opening shot is her already in a photo shoot. Yeah. And then it's her kind of rise to the top. So there's no of that background. And I guess that's where the film kind of crosses over to some like surrealism, like shit, because it's more like, it's more symbolic than showing an actual like arcing storyline.
Yeah.
But she does mention that she has no talents, but she is beautiful, so she can sell that, and she wants to have like the fame and the spotlight, and she sees that beauty is her only option in doing that, which is super sad.
Yeah. Thank you again, sorry, Felix. He's really pushing that.
Thanks, God.
Nightmare blood sacrifice. I hope you guys are remembering all of this, because I'm not going to know what to call it next time, so I'm just going to rely on you guys. So just letting you know. I like that you mentioned like her attitude, though, because I have a quote from the director, like, about the idea of like narcissism in the movie. And like one interpretation, I guess you could take, like, since it's so surreal and very symbolic, like the demon could be narcissism, like if you want to look at it that way. And I thought that was interesting because, like, because this came out in 2016 or 17 or something like that. Like, our generation is kind of more self-aware, I think, of our, like, narcissistic tendencies, because we have social media and we acknowledge, like, we all take selfies for, like, the likes and things like that. Like, it's kind of like a, like self-deprecating sort of thing almost, where previous generations it's seen more as like a bad thing, like you don't want to be like self-absorbed at all, and we're kind of like, a little bit's okay as long as you're not a narcissist. But in an interview, the director Refn said he was talking about like how to beat the neon demon, I guess, so to speak. And he said, in order to really deal with it, you need to accept the evolution. You need to accept narcissism as a quality in order to pass through it and deal with it. It's like the antidote is on the other side, which I thought was interesting. So I guess like maybe the movie is Jesse going too far and like going fully in instead of like accepting the narcissism, I guess, if I'm going to use his words, like accepting the evolution, like, and being able to control it.
I'm trying to think about how that would look. You know what I mean? For someone to accept it, what do you think that would be?
I don't know. I was trying to think too of like maybe like of like a celebrity to kind of like liken her to, like trying to think of somebody that maybe like is kind of like self-aware of their narcissism.
Maybe Paris Hilton. She's quite like, she plays on the fact that she looks a certain way. I know a lot of people in the comments were going, but she actually is very aware of how she comes across, and that's how she made all her money. Yeah. And she's actually quite a private person and all that kind of stuff, but she knows how to like flip it on and what works.
Yeah.
That's probably someone that I would say.
Like Marilyn Monroe too. Like she was very aware of like the dumb blonde act that she was all grown.
Yeah.
Sneaky little Gromit in the background. No, Gromit just popped up in the background.
He needs to chill out. Yeah. Paris Hilton's like the plague. You would be surprised, Bea. You'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised how she actually is, because she has like two different voices as well. She does that high voice that she's like simple life and stuff, and then how she actually talks is really low, and she earns like all her own money now. Obviously, she came from money. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Paris Hilton. But that's someone I can see using her narcissism and accepting it. But yeah, I don't know. We're just always told that it's such a bad thing.
Yeah. And I guess like going off of the Paris Hilton example, she's not like, I mean, you can just tell from the response in the chat, she's not exactly a liked person because of it, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I guess this goes on to the price of beauty and how far people will go to attain that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of plastic surgery and stuff always like shown in. It's not really shown, but it's spoken about. They're spoken about getting new noses and all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing about Jessie is she's got this natural beauty that drives everyone crazy. She like walks the room, everyone's like, and I know this. It's like personal taste, but I think that some of the other girls are like, I prefer their aesthetic. Let's just say that, which is so bad to say. But it's just funny that there's this whole thing. It's kind of damaging to women that it's like compared natural and anyone who gets like cosmetic surgery. Yeah. I think that's really sad, and I get some people can be against it, but I think it's a very much like a personal choice. Mm-hmm. And that can be quite controversial, but I do think it's pretty sad that they're like, she's natural beauty, like, and everyone's like, what are you meant to do? Like, we're trying, we're changing our nose, we're trying. But yeah, I have just down here that she drives everyone crazy by being too beautiful and unattainable for them to either be or possess. And I think a lot about the film, it's not about her being the most beautiful and then wanting to knock her down. It's them wanting to possess that beauty. And that's why, if you haven't seen the film, they end up eating her. Because, spoiler alert, because they want to possess it. They can't it just controls them. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Oh my God,
really quick.
$6.66.
I like that. I would listen to that band. Thank you.
I don't know anything about the Kardashians, Musa. Like, I know my boy Kanye, but I don't know anything about the Kardashians at all. Like,
I barely even know their names, Monty. Like, to be honest, like, I don't know if I could even like match their names to their pictures. To be honest, except for like Kim. Like,
I think it's like after my time of being into like reality TV.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
And go down that road. That road.
But like, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe at least like what little I know of them, I guess they could fit that like playing into their narcissism thing. I don't know. You tell us, Monty, because we don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know how they actually are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Like when the cameras go off and stuff. So I don't know if they. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe, you know.
What else you got on this? The price of beauty.
Oh yeah. I was gonna mention too, because the girl she's underneath my picture. I can't remember her character name. The one that gets like all the plastic surgery and she like is like talking about it constantly. Mm-hmm. She even gets like basically like shat on by I don't know what he is, like the guy who like when they're in the audition and he, you know, has that moment when Jessie comes up and whatever.
Yeah. And she like walks and he's like and the girl's like shaking, and then she goes breaks the mirror. Yeah,
like when they're
sad.
in that like restaurant or like bar place or whatever,
and
they like start to have the conversation about like natural versus fake beauty or whatever, and he basically like shits all over the other girl, like, you know, telling Jessie like, don't do that, like, because she's so much better than you.
And I guess that's exactly what we're talking about. Hey Dino, I didn't see you in here. I guess that's what we were talking about. Yeah, exactly what we're talking about when they're in the diner or whatever it is.
Yeah. And
they're in the booth. And she he makes her stand up and compares and says, what is this? Oh yeah, she's good looking. Exactly. She's good, but she's not great. And it's like actual in life comparison. Could you imagine being compared to someone else in person? I would actually die. Like my body would just shut down. I would leave. It's pretty hard hitting stuff. But again, it's meant to reflect what the reality is.
Yeah.
Badass Ninja, thank you.
Thank you, Badass Ninja, Christopher Nightmare Bloody Sacrifice to Add Spooky Astronauts. Oh my gosh, these names are getting out of control.
What's happening? Oh god.
Too funny though.
But yeah, I think that probably the main downfall for a lot of the women is that the only thing they do care about is beauty, and there is nothing else. Like that is their whole life, and and when I'm saying nothing else, I mean like nothing else, no hobbies, no goals, it's just to be the most beautiful person in the room, and that is the demon of it, that is the neon demon, to be the most beautiful person in the room. And if you're not that, you either have to kill that or you have to possess that in some way. And it works for them. I don't know if you've seen the movie, they end up killing her and they end up eating her. And then one of the girls kind of, all of a sudden the photographer's like, you ate the eyeball. Please come into the shot. Like, it's pretty brutal. But I love that whole thing about possessing it, and then they actually have to eat her body to like possess the beauty. It's pretty insane. Should we talk about Jenna Malone's character, Ruby, I believe? Yeah, that was a hard point in the film, I think, because again, she wanted to possess Jessie, so much so that she was kind of her friend at the start, and she was a bit creepy friend. Like she was always like, I'll do anything for you anytime you need anything. And she's like a makeup artist on set, like she shouldn't be like that invested in someone she doesn't know. Ends up taking Jessie home and then tries to like come on to her. And when she gets rejected, I think it's after she gets rejected, then she goes and has like sex with a corpse.
Yeah. See, that is the bit like I thought would be the most like offensive of the movie is the necrophilia and the fact that it takes place with the one at least like known homosexual character in the movie. Like we don't like know for sure if she could be bi or something or whatever. Like we don't know, but she does like Emma said, she does come on to Jessie, and at the end it gets like a little bit rapey. Like she comes on like a little strong. And then it's like that dejection that like causes her when she goes to like her work at the morgue or whatever, because she got rejected, she has sex with the corpse. And like I mean I saw some like reviews of the movie, and a lot of critics like questioned the validity of that scene. Like some of them are saying like it does nothing to advance the arc of the story. Like what was the point? And I just thought it brought up like a whole bunch of like questions, like why her character, why necrophilia, why is that the answer? Why is it just because like she was just so obsessed with Jessie's beauty, or are we meant to think like maybe she's got some other mental issues going on? But I thought it was interesting that it's like the one gay character that she can't get anybody else other than this corpse. So it's like, do you think it's like more like having to do because of Jessie, or like she's kind of like possessed everybody's minds and made them crazy?
Yeah. I think that she was put in there. I don't have a problem with her character. I think she was put in there to kind of show the different ways people can be desperate. And because she was not a model, that's why she acted in a different way. She wanted to possess the beauty. But it is interesting that none of the men, and of course, obviously we don't know their sexual orientation, but none of the men in the film were all over Jessie like she was. Yeah. The photographer or whatever. Even her boyfriend, who seemed just as, obviously he's like the pure character because he was just as interested in her in the start, and he doesn't really get possessed by that. Yeah. Or, like all of these different things. It is interesting that no one else preyed on her like Ruby did. But I really liked Ruby's character. Obviously everyone likes Jenna Malone, but I really liked her in this film. And I thought that the corpse thing was really interesting more because this is going to sound so stupid. I don't know any makeup artist who goes and like works on like a high fashion model shoot and then goes to like a morgue and does makeup on a corpse. Like it's two very different like gigs that she's got going on. So I'm like, I was more questioning, like, what the fuck is she doing in a morgue? Like, high fashion, you get paid, like, makeup artists would get paid, like, $400 a day to do that. why would she be like in a morgue? I'm sure she's not getting paid that much off on a dead body, you know.
Yeah.
And they have to use certain makeup because, you know, like a dead body is cold, and they have to use like and pretty like makeup that's really sturdy. Obviously, it's going to stay on there until the funeral and all that kind of shit. I'm like, why is this happening this way? Like, that was more my question. And I think it's just meant to show the desperation. Yeah, it's pretty intense, but the whole film is like pretty out there and super, like, has some really surrealist moments, as Vicky and I have been joking, a lot of like strobe lights and stuff like that. So I'm not really surprised they've put someone having a sex with a dead body just to kind of show the desperation. Okay. But yeah. And maybe that's something else to show, is that she didn't want, maybe the dead body is purposefully there because it's showing that Jessie is just her beauty. She doesn't actually care about what's inside her. So, you know, having sex with a dead body and pretending that's her, that can be fine because it's actually just her beauty. It's not what's inside the dead body. So maybe that's why it was there. I don't know.
That's interesting. That's of like an avenue like my brain did not take. And I think that because like I was like the whole time, like I was also kind of questioning, like, was this needed? Do I feel like it, you know, like feel like we could have conveyed it a different way? But that makes a lot of sense though, because Jessie even is kind of like self-aware that she, like she says, she doesn't have any other skills other than being pretty. Like, she's aware of this. Yeah. And so that theory, like, I think it holds water, like, because she says
I just made it up
she's
by then,
vapid.
Yeah. No, it kind of makes sense. And I'm, you know, would you rather have sex with a dead body? Would you rather situation? Let me know in the comments what you guys think in the chat. Would you rather someone have sex with a dead body in a film, or someone go rape a live person in a film? Whoa, that is a moral dilemma.
That's a huge moral dilemma.
Like, I don't know what would be more alarming on a film to watch, to be honest. I wasn't so alarmed. I mean, this makes it sound like I'm really into it. I wasn't so alarmed by it, but to be honest,
I knew it. Desensitized people.
Yeah. Guinea pig films, I'm telling you. It changes a lot for you. Yeah, Mizza, that's the right answer. Neither. Fiend says necrophilia all the way. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather see both at the same time. Okay, you guys are sicker than I am. Megan.
Megan. Okay.
There we go. Dead body is
better.
I think that was my thing. Necrophilia. Hey, Slops. I didn't see you at any other. Have you commented at all? Except I think the first comment Slops put on here is necrophilia.
Important debate.
He's watching in the darkness with his clowns around him, and he's just like, necrophilia. Obviously, both is horrible, but necrophilia doesn't hurt anybody. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I was going to say something.
It's like your family member or something that it happens to.
Yeah.
Or yourself. I wouldn't want my corpse to be messed with. I know I'm dead, but still.
Yeah. Okay, well, from that note, guys, I think I've covered everything. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in The Neon Demon?
No, we got all mine.
Yeah, cool. Shall we head on to Starry Eyes?
Yes, but first, do you find this movie offensive?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, my God. I'm like, okay, next. No, I don't find the film offensive. I find the film sad, and it's good. It's good because it's, you know, it's showing a lot of fears, and it's very relatable for all women, I think. And yeah, it's just it's a sad reality. I wouldn't say it's offensive. What about you?
Okay. I think if I was just taking the film by itself, I would say no. But in comparison to the one we're about to talk about, yes. But no.
You think the one that we're about to talk about is I guess, like, the one thing that, I mean, separates both of these films is that Jessie isn't really ever shown in the film to be more than her looks.
Yeah.
So, you know, she isn't shown to have a family and she come from a small town or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, she isn't given that option for you to actually like her, because I already am not a fan of of the actress. So, like, not giving any background doesn't really give her justice. So I guess, if anything, that could be offensive. Not really giving the women the chance to be something else while they do give the men the chance to be something else. Like Keanu Reeves, and that Dean guy, at least they have a little bit of personality, where the girls are just like, yes, no, eat an eyeball, So I guess that could be deemed offensive if that's what you meant. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's tough though too, because that's like the point of the movie though. So it's not like done because like to be mean to women. That's the intention of the film.
Yeah,
it's tough. I think out of all of the movies, these ones are like the toughest ones for me to like answer if they're offensive to me or not. Because like the point of them is to like I think you mentioned it at the beginning. The point of them is to be offensive. Like.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Starry Eyes.
There's my summary. Okay. So, Starry Eyes was directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Vidmeyer. I saw it pronounced somewhere Vidmeyer. And it follows Sarah, an ambitious, aspiring actress who works part-time at a restaurant while going to acting classes and auditions on the side. One day, she goes to an audition for a movie called The Silver Scream by a renowned production company, Astraeus Pictures. After what she thinks is a failed audition, Sarah is called back after the casting directors witness her hair-pulling tantrum. Sarah eventually meets the producer for the film, who implies that she must have sex with him in exchange for him making her a star. Meanwhile, Sarah's friend Danny is asking her to be in his independent film, which she accepts at first, but ambition prevails and she goes with Astraeus after another meeting. Sarah goes home, but her body starts deteriorating and she realizes she must kill her friends to complete her transformation and become a star. This movie's a journey.
That was like the whole film.
I really like this film. I had another summary that was more like mysterious, but I was like, what's the point? We're going to talk about the end of the movie.
Yeah, anyway. We're going to talk about it. Yeah. I really like this film, and it is so brutal. Like, you forget, you really low it in, and you're like, oh, it's just about her being like cutthroat actress, and then it just gets so brutal.
Yes.
Love it. I think it's really clever, and it really hits all the sore spots, I guess. So, one thing I do want to mention at the start is, although this, as we said with the last film was a lot about, I guess it's kind of the same, except for the boyfriend character. The last film was a lot negativity towards women. This film is negativity towards women and men. Although there's two of her friends, like they're her roommate and one of the guys who's actually directing that film for her friends. They seem like good characters. There's a lot of bad men in this film as well as bad women. But the men are shown as powerful and really pervy and just brutal cutthroat. And the women are shown as super jealous and mean. So it's kind of I would say that the men are probably obviously worse with what happens in this film. Mm-hmm. But it is super interesting that it just does not paint anyone in a good light, really. It just shows the darkness in everybody. I guess, where do you want to start? Because there's a lot of things that could be deemed offensive in this. And I don't know if you want to go straight to the intense scenes or...
Yeah. I guess we can ease into it because the film kind of eases into it. I mean, I guess like on the surface, like if we're just taking this at kind of like surface level, this movie's like again about Hollywood, but more like we said, the film aspiring actress aspect, but at the same time similar to Neon Demon in that like ambition and kind of narcissism is, like a monster in this movie because Sarah, I just said her name, I don't know why I forgot it. Sarah is kind of I think she's such an interesting character because like on one hand, like she's painted a little bit like, I don't know if like innocently or like naively is the word because I don't think that fully fits her. Maybe it's just like the music, it's very like wide-eyed and hopeful. And then, but she also kind of has this air about her, like, I don't know, I almost get the feeling that her character is, like, meant to think she's better than like, making independent films with her friends. Like, her ambitions are so high, because she kind of, like, turns her nose up a little bit at everybody, I feel like her roommate and things like that, she doesn't really, like, jive with them.
No, I totally agree with that. The funny thing about this film is later when she's told that she has to become herself and she has to like break down on the walls, that's when she starts turning on people, like just being mean and, before all the killing starts, just start being mean and all that kind of stuff. And at the start, there is no internal dialogue. You can see that she gets really stressed out when she doesn't get a role, which is something that I do want to mention is that she has, I'm going to try and pronounce this right the first time, how do you say it? Trichomania, I believe that's it. Trichomania, which is when you like, it's like it's a form of self-harm where you pull your hair out, but you don't have to just pull your hair on your head. You can pull your arms and your eyelashes. But it is a form of self-harm, and that is shown in the film. And I guess while we're touching on that, the moment it's shown in the film where she gets caught out by someone who's auditioning her, and they like make her repeat it, it's kind of seen as like something that shows that she has in a battle within herself, and they're like, yay, and no one does anything. No one's like, are you okay? Like, which shows the people that she's surrounded by. But I guess we don't really know. My point was we see her kind of struggling with these things, but we don't really know what is going on inside. And later, she does seem like she's throwing her nose up in the air. And when she thinks she's got this role, she quits her job. And I just don't know if she was bad from the beginning or if the fame made her bad. And that's something that I think about, because they're like, be your true self. And I'm like, but was she truly like that? Because I think, wouldn't she be more like that if she was truly this awful person? Wouldn't she act that way all the time? It just seems like did she just like suppress it and keep it down and not talk? Gromit, can you not? Sorry, Gromit's like huffing and puffing. So I don't know if she's evil the whole time. I don't want to think that she was, because I really like the differences in the characters. And she's shown a lot more than Jessie in The Neon Demon as being more realistic, or someone you would know in real life. She doesn't walk into a room and she doesn't have that. Obviously, this is about acting, so she doesn't have that. People look at her and think she's amazing. She has to kind of prove it. Which I think probably would her character a little bit more. Not saying anything's wrong being a model, but you just in a movie you can understand it a little bit more.
And I guess it's more like, I guess if we're comparing it to the Neon Demon, if like one of the demons is narcissism in that movie, I feel like ambition would be the equivalent of that in this movie, because I feel like that's the aspect of her personality, I guess, that she has to fully embrace, like her ambition. I think that's like part of when she starts to turn. It's like, how strong is her ambition to be a star? And that's kind of what takes over and why she becomes like, I guess, like a bad character. I think I phrased that wrong. I didn't mean she was like evil, guys. I just meant like
no. I do think that the word of ambition is probably a bad word though, because ambition could be used against, like it gets into the whole situation where, I know everyone was going to say Me Too, but let's say what it is, like someone trying to make you sleep with them or perform sexual favors in exchange for something, and they're like, how ambitious are you? But that's not what it is. It's desperation. That's what I think it is. And that's how desperate she gets. Because ambition, I think, is a positive word. Could it be a bad word? Maybe. I worry about, saying that she wants something so bad, and that it's not wrong of her to want something so bad, I don't think. Ambition is a good thing. Like, you and I have ambition, like with our channels and things like that. Desperation, that's when it's like, that's when it's ticking over. I don't know. But you're right, you just don't know. I would have liked some inner dialogue or something. I know it would have been cheesy or something, just to know a little bit more about what she was thinking at the start, and it would have shown a bit about how much she changed. So
I guess the movie shows like how easily ambition can be manipulated, I suppose. I think you're right, like saying like ambition and desperation kind of go hand in hand a little bit, because that's what they're doing. They're manipulating her like drive to become a star, and that turns into desperation.
That's true. And it does show that she does mention that she's gone to like, audition after audition after audition, which would turn to desperation, where if she's like,
exactly.
But you just don't really know what she really is at the start. I guess the biggest part of the film for me was the abuse of power. Which this is so realistic. I thought it was really interesting they put a cult kind of spin on it, which we'll get to later, but because everything else is very realistic up to this point. And I mean, not saying there aren't cults, there aren't like Illuminatis, but it's just the abuse of power is just insane. And it's, even from a lower level, like when she goes in for the first audition and she's with the male and female, and the man is just so rude and abrupt and just like we've seen what we need to see. I thought she did really good in that first performance, and when he was like, we've seen what we want to see, I actually thought that, I was like, yeah, you did well. Like, because he's just so dismissive anyway. I don't know how you can get a read on that, you know, if you have done well.
Yeah.
And then the other woman is just there. And that whole abuse of power then obviously goes into her going back for that second callback, and then the photos being taken, and she's not knowing. She says later she didn't know she was being filmed. It's just really fucking creepy. And again, a woman who is alone in, well, I guess she has a roommate, but she, you know, she's going through this process alone in Hollywood. It's terrifying, man. But the abuse of power obviously leads to her going back and meeting the producer, aka going to the room, and she's talking about the role, and he's like, forget about the role, like, what will you do, kind of thing, to show me how much you want it. Yes, and that is a really hard scene to watch. And you think that she's going to go through it the first time, and obviously you find out in the film that she goes back because she regrets turning it down, which is so sad, because that is what it's like. It's like, if you say no, you're out. And it does make the huge arc in her character, where it shows how far will she go to get what she wants.
Yeah.
Which is pretty terrifying.
Which I'm glad you mentioned the abuse of power, because I found it interesting. I went back to look and see, because of when this movie came out in 14, 13, something. It was like pre the Me Too movement. I know there's like buzzwords maybe not everyone wants to hear, but it was like, you know, everyone was revealing this abuse of power, like putting it in the spotlight, where I'll be honest, like, I'm an ignorant person. I don't live in Hollywood. I'm not in that scene. So it's like, it was something like me and like a lot of other people, just like maybe in the back of our heads we knew maybe it happened sometime, but like people didn't know it happened as frequently. And I feel like this movie had a different type of watch for me the second time around, like post Me Too era, because I went back to check and see when I reviewed it, which was pre all of that happening, which nobody go back and find that review. It's really cringy. But I found that it was an article, it was like on a blog or something called Little White Lies, and they were talking about watching Starry Eyes now post Me Too era. And a quote from that article says, what's interesting about the way Starry Eyes was received upon its initial release is how a number of critics saw Sarah as being in some way responsible for what happens to her. Many reviewers accused the film of reinforcing a stereotypical view of Hollywood, which that was before all this other stuff happened, which I thought was interesting, because when I first saw the film, because I went back and watched my review, I was even like kind of complicit in that, and saying like I thought the whole point of the movie was like, how far would you go for your dream? Like that's like the theme of it. And it was, and like now watching it now, I'm seeing this movie now as more of a representation of Hollywood, which is interesting.
Yeah. The funny thing, I guess, from my perspective is I've dealt with this stuff firsthand. And here in Perth, like small Australia, it happens in TV a lot. I've had really bad sexual harassment from a boss in a production. Really bad stuff. And it's not more that they offer a position for you, but I've been told, oh my God, thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, thank you.
That's so nice. I've been told that I should burn this is what this guy said to me. I should burn this other person who's like betrayed him. So it's a hard situation, but I was pretty much moving from one production house to another production. And I quit my job, and then my boss approached me and said, well, this what was she? She was a presenter at the time, and she moved to the same place I was moving, and she's like, he said, you can't like let her get away with this, thinking he has some kind of hold over me, and was telling me like to destroy her career and stuff. It was just like weird ass, like people like coked out. He is so coked out, by the way. Crazy people. But it happens all the time, all the time.
Huh.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how much this happens. I worked at a television station, my last job, and the person the CEO of like this whole company, slept with his secretary and got paid off with company money, and everyone knew about it. And it's just so crazy. He was like married with a wife and stuff, and he used company money to pay them off, and it became like public knowledge and all this stuff. Yeah. But this is the thing, shit like this happens all the time. People pay people off, people, sleep with people they're not meant to be, and they're abusing their power, and it happens all the time. And that this can take into situations like out of Hollywood, like school teachers sleeping with students. That's abuse of power.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff happens. Did I destroy her? No, I liked her. It like as well. I'm like, dude, you're not even paying me. Like, at least bribe me with something. But yeah, it happens all the time. So I mean, I do watch the movie as like, how far would you go, to be honest? But it's not like I ever because that's kind of how I see it. But I don't think it is. I mean, obviously it is meant to be a representation of Hollywood, and I guess it confuses me why these critics or whatever could be so naive to not like realize that it's not a stereotypical thing. It's actually something that happens. The whole point of Hollywood is it is what you think it is. Like, there are no secrets. People assume that it's different. It's not different to what the movies show it to be. Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, I've never been to Hollywood, but I don't think so. So I really think that can happen anywhere. So that's why it's so scary. And it's just like a part where you're like, I would be naive in the situation as well. She thinks she's getting this dream opportunity. And I guess the same thing happened if it happened to me and you, and, we were offered a gig doing something with horror on TV or whatever. And we were so excited and we thought that people really valued our work or whatever. And we got there and that happened. I would still walk in that door and be like, oh my God, I like totally, because in that moment, she thinks that she's finally made it, and that's something that she's dreamt of her whole life, and it's finally happening. You can't blame someone for being, sucked up by the glamour and like your dreams coming true. You want to believe it. Yeah. And up to that point, until going into that room, and then that happens, then your stomach drops, and you're like, holy fuck, like, she's been had. It's so sad. Yeah. I feel like I can really relate to her character. Like, I would feel the same way, and I don't think I think it's really sad that it is like a naive thing to like want to go and meet with a producer after they asked to. Like, how scary is that it's like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be trying to advance your career just in case like you get on a casting couch kind of situation. It reminds me a lot of, have you seen Kimmy Schmidt?
I've seen like the first season. I haven't watched the entire show.
Oh, okay. There's like a really good sum up of this puppet situation, but you'll need to watch it. It's really good. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was like a rant and a half.
No, that's good. Yeah, different.
I think it was pretty much agreeing. But yeah. Yeah. What else have you got on?
I covered that. I guess the only other thing left on mine is the kind of millennial aspect, which is like really tiny in there, but I think it was interesting, like this like dichotomy between like old school Hollywood and like the millennial age. It's touched on like super quick in the movie, like really hinted at, like with Danny, that's his name, Danny, and all of Sarah's other like friends and her roommate and stuff like that, which whenever they get together, they're all just kind of like goofing off, not really doing anything, but they all just keep talking about this film that Danny's gonna make, and he offers her like a starring role, and it's like an interesting like dynamic, which I think is still relevant like today, like a different way of doing things other than going the old school Hollywood route, which is like the darker route, the doing, how far would you go sort of thing. And Danny's kind of offering like a solution, like, we could just make whatever with just us, and you don't have to go that route, which I think is super interesting, especially nowadays. Like, I feel like with like YouTube and like Vimeo and all these like other platforms for like people can like post their short films without having to deal with all of that. But in the end, I feel like Hollywood still kind of like takes over, and it is really sad in the movie that she, you know, goes back to that producer meeting. Like, it shows like the power of, I think, Hollywood. I think the movie is very Hollywood, because maybe it's not like this everywhere else, and I think sometimes we just like to think this stuff only happens in Hollywood when it happens everywhere. But it feels like such a Hollywood thing. Like, you can still like, you can try and make your own thing, but the Hollywood way of doing things is still gonna like prevail if you want to be a star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really interesting, because imagine in the Neon Demon if they brought like Instagram models into the situation.
Yeah.
Because that's old media and new media kind of thing. And I do think it's interesting, because it is, and that's something that I guess people on YouTube can relate to. There's this huge competitor towards, if you're on TV, it's seen as like up here, but if you're like super successful, and I'm talking about like, you know, millions and millions of like subs, you're still not seen as like that level. New versus old, and I guess that's just going to have to die out. Like, that mentality of thinking. But it is really cool that people can like make their own fame, and they don't need you know, anyone else to help them along the way now. Like, they can get noticed, and a lot of people who are actors and things like that do get noticed more from doing smaller things and get offered, you know, even roles on like music videos and stuff. So it's cool to see that people are appreciating new media. But yeah, you're right, there's such a huge difference, and that it's such an old school way of things happening with the abuse of power, with like that old school like casting couch like situation. Because it's the way that it's always been run, it's the way it's always been controlled. It's terrifying.
It is. Especially in a movie like this, where it's the point of the movie, but it wins. Like, that way of, you know, working wins, because she goes back and goes through this whole like terrifying and disgusting transformation. She dies and is reborn. That's the whole like metaphor of the movie. Neon Demon is more like, the metaphor is like the entire thing. Like, it's all super symbolic 100% of the way. But Starry Eyes, it like starts off very realistic until she starts like literally dying and like vomiting like maggots and worms and things like that, and goes and kills all of her friends, and then gets buried and comes back up out of the dirt. And
I love that. She looks like a different person. She's like got the shaved head, and like she's like so symmetrical, and like it was such a cool, like her nails. It was such a cool like rebirth, because the whole time she's like an attractive girl. She's an attractive girl, but that ends, like, she just looks like a different person. She looks confident. She was such a good actress. I really liked her in this. I thought she was like perfect for the role. I think that transformation is really good. Something else I just thought about abuse of power or whatever was like the weird whole restaurant that she works in. I forget what it's called, like Spud something, Little Spuds or whatever, which is meant to be a play on like,
it's like a Hooters ripoff, basically.
Yeah, it's like a Hooters ripoff with potatoes, which is so funny. But you know, her boss is just like, thinks that he's just like, you know, we want people to like be here and like care about it, and we're all a team, and if one person's off, then we're all off, and like putting it on her, because oh my God, it's just like too much. He's like, I want you to see what we're doing here. And like, it was almost like the different levels of power, which I thought would have been really cool if they played on that some more. Like having, you know, it's not just Hollywood. It, like, as we said, it happens everywhere. Like the little, like, you know, the abuse of power. But I thought it was good. And who's the guy who plays it? I know, like, I've seen him before. He's in like Cheap Thrills and things like that. The boss, he's really good. And he's in, I think, The Ranger or something like that. He's great. Love him. I don't know what his name is. I should know this, but he's a great, Tater Tots. There you go. And it's just so creepy. Like, I think there's something so creepy about women who have to wear heels to work, no matter where it is. There's a sports bar here, and they got in a lot of trouble because they were making like women wear heels. Like they have like the like referee stripes for men and women, and then the women had to wear heels. Like but it's at a sports bar. Like, if anything, make them wear sneakers. Like,
I was going to say,
literally
even Hooters, the girls are wearing sneakers. Like, I've never seen them in heels. Like,
it's so wrong. But yeah, you can definitely see that because they're in like, it's so funny what they're wearing. They're wearing like those tights that have like the potato and oil and stuff all over. It's like oil dripping, and then like the tight shirt, and it's like called tater tots. It's so funny because it's funny because it's such a play on like how women are like represented in in those kind of things, those Hooters and things like that. Yeah. Very interesting. 100%. I think the last thing I had was the cult aspect.
Oh yeah.
And I think that the cult aspect wasn't exactly needed for me, but it really, when you watch the film, it really does drive like the horror in the film, obviously. Yeah. Especially, the ending and like, oh, it's so good. I thought it would be really, really cool if they actually got some people to do some cameos in that part. Like, imagine if it was like Brad Pitt and like all these people like came out as part of the cult. How cool would that be? Because it would actually be like the cult of, the people who have utilized the power. But they're all like these old people, like walking in circles and chanting and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty interesting. But I do think that it's a good representation of people owning that 1% of power, and that you have to jump through hoops, you have to sell your soul. And that's technically that's how I see the whole film is. What would you do? Would you sell your soul? And that's what I think that she's done. I think she sells her soul, and that's why she comes out new. But yeah, the 1% owning power, I think, is super interesting.
Yeah. And it's in like both movies, I feel like, have that sort of like not like lose yourself, but like you have to, like they go through like a rebirth, sort of, where Starry Eyes is a bit more like literal, but they have to like drop aspects of themselves and kill all old ways of thinking. Lynch, again, like I said, Starry Eyes is very literal with this. Like, she kills all of her friends and is reborn, but that's like the metaphor. Like, in order to make it in Hollywood, whether it be like a model or as an actress, like you literally have to like you can't have like this like star-eyed, like doe-eyed, bushy-tailed. You can't be like that. You have to be like tough. You have to be reborn as this other thing, Yeah,
no, totally. I don't know. I totally agree. So the obviously they have to be reborn in both of them, and they make huge changes, especially with Ellie, because she dies. So she makes a huge change, but then she dies, where Sarah's change is so kind of, you see it all happening very physically. But it does lead me to think Ellie didn't really have, and this is not blaming, but Ellie didn't have sex with anyone or didn't really like do anything backstabby. Yeah. Which is interesting because Sarah, kills her friends, and she, obviously we don't see everything that happens, but we can assume she has oral sex with the producer. Yeah. And the outcome for her is she turns into like this beautiful like swan situation, and she comes out on like the other side, and we don't know what happens. We see her kill her last friend, and that's kind of like the end kind of thing, but we don't know what happens to her. Does she get away with it all because of the cult status, all that kind of stuff? So in a way, it could be seen as like glamorizing, like kill all your friends and you'll be like perfect. Which I think it does it in a way that it's showing like the deep, disgusting part of it, and it shows her like literally dying. Oh my God, those scenes are so insane with her in the bathroom. I think it was so well done. Yeah.
Anytime a character peels off a rotted nail, I'm done. Like,
I couldn't. I was just like, I actually put my hand over the screen. I'm like, I don't like that. It's not a thing. But I think it's just interesting how they both end up in comparison, because they end in very different ways, both of the girls.
Yeah, and it just goes back to, I guess, like the difference between like being an actress and being a model, where your outer beauty is way more coveted than, I guess, when you're an actress, I guess, although she still ends up like extremely beautiful, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Hollywood is weird.
Yeah. That's the end. Hollywood is weird.
That was the theme, the overall theme.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Okay, well, did you find what are you
They're like
what are
going
you
on
reacting?
about Billy Zane in the chat. I was checking in to see what they were talking about, and they're all talking about Billy
Oh,
Zane and
okay.
Demon Knight. So, like, okay,
Do you find Starry Eyes offensive?
no, no, I can't say that I do.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think it's again confronting. Um, it's very confronting and very sad, but it's kind of like the sad truth. And it's I really like Starry Eyes. I think it's a great film.
yeah.
It has
Compared to the two, like I like Starry Eyes way more than the Neon
yeah,
Demon.
I just like the journey of it. Like there's so much in it. Like it's her, like her desperation. And then obviously like the moment that she finds out that it's all fake and takes advantage of. And then there's the whole like aspect with we didn't really talk about her and her friends and the girls that are like super jealous of her and just like
Oh yeah.
bitches the whole time and then like just the goriness. It's so gory and gets so dark, and she pretty much dies and comes back to life. It's a huge journey of a film, which
There's
is why I
almost
really
like
like
just
it.
like two different movies. Like the first half of it is so different compared to the last half when she
Yeah,
goes through the transformation and it gets all bloody and disgusting and it's
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, no, I really like it. I guess we should check out the polls. Hey, if you guys haven't voted yet,
yeah.
we have a poll on Twitter. I'm just like sending my Twitter. Um, it's the second down on my page.
Saying Holly weird.
We've got 31 votes so far. I think we got some replies actually from Megan. Megan said, "Pick Starry Eyes because it's so much more realistic to what happens in Hollywood, other than having to kill people to get a transition." I'd say they both kill people. Starry Eyes, she does kill people. And I'm with Sudan says, definitely Neon Demon. It has necrophilia. Those are just on the Twitter.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that we're pretty much decided. So we've got 74% against 26%. 74% is the Neon Demon.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I guess we kind of agreed with that.
Yeah.
I just think, if anything, it would be, the films are meant to be offensive. They're meant to be polarizing. But I definitely think Ellie Fanning's character in The Neon Demon is probably not fleshed out enough for you to actually care about her, which kind of does her, like, doesn't really do her justice. So if anything, that's the only thing I find a little bit offensive.
Yeah.
The betrayal.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Does anyone else have any lingering thoughts in the chat about either of these movies? Sean, Nocturnal Horror, says, "I thought Neon Demon was the better film. It's a lot harder to relate to the characters, but stylistically it's brilliant and haunting."
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, we agreed that it's beautiful. I love just the whole symbolic moment of her eating the eyeball. I think it's just like, it's so haunting and something that you don't forget. Like, I just love that. I love that, like, actually consuming someone. I think it's cool. And someone mentioned before about the bloodbath bit where she's like in the bath full of blood.
Oh,
I love that. I think it's cool. Yeah. Okay, guys. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much. Wrong. What is that, Zachary? Thank you so much for checking in today, guys. Really appreciated this chat. There was so much to actually talk about with these ones.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. So I guess for all of our patrons, you guys will get a little post show in a little bit. So in case you guys don't know, if you support either one of us on Patreon, you do get the little after show that we do at the end of each Does This Offend You? We just shoot the shit for a second and talk about the next stream. That's all it is. But
plan the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you
But
guys
thanks
for
for
joining.
coming, guys.
Thanks for all of your nightmare fuel blood sacrifices. Don't know what to call them anymore now. You guys are confused me. And we'll see you guys in like roughly a month. Oh, really quick. I'm sure you guys are all subscribed to Emma anyway, but in case you're not, all of her info is in the description.
Thank you.
I guess let's forget about that. Okay, now we'll go now.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.